isn't clear, we could head for ultimate. Land at Waterford.
I think it would be safe to assume that there were certain implied pressures from the air carrier that not making it to the destination was ill-favored. I would imagine that there were pressures for them to complete the job regardless of the risks.
Whether there's worse than here. Maybe Kerry.
The pilots seem uncertain what to do in the face of bad weather.
They really don't want to divert.
Kerry is about 11 minutes away. Okay. Well, at least we know that the weather's all right there, so we've got it as a backup.
The crew checks the weather at a number of nearby airports, but seems reluctant to land anywhere but Cork.
All copy. Thanks very much. And the weather, is it improving in Cork?
Another small improvement.
There's runway 17?
Bad idea, guys.
If they land at a strange airport, they've no infrastructure to support them. They probably don't even have a credit line to buy fuel.
Landing at an alternate airport could leave the pilots on the hook for a range of expenses. Everything from airport fees to the cost of transporting all their 10 passengers by bus or taxi back to Cork.
Okay. Minimum. Continue.
It looks more and more like the pilots' lack of support from the airline forced their hand when they decided to go ahead with the fog-bound landing at Cork.
These were two guys flying at the very long end of a very, very narrow stick, with very, very little support.
The Manx2 crash investigation has revealed there is no single cause behind the accident. Instead, it stemmed from a deadly chain of mistakes and circumstance. Heavy fog that put an inexperienced and overworked crew under extra pressure, leading to a piloting error that was compounded by poorly maintained engines.
The engines were producing uneven power for more than 100 hours of flight, and not one pilot reported it.
It's a fairly major red flag if maintenance issues are not to the fore.
Okay. Minimum.
If the uneven engine power had been reported, it might have been fixed. But investigators find no record of anyone trying.
Continue.
The fault went unnoticed, or if it was noticed, it wasn't attended to.
If the Metro 3's engine power had been properly balanced,
Go around! Go around!
there's a chance they could have recovered after the captain mistakenly reduced the throttles too far. Instead, the uneven engine thrust sent the plane into a severe roll that resulted in the crash. The investigation has also exposed the virtual airline at the center of the disaster. Owned by Spanish interests but operating from the Isle of Man, Manx2 has somehow slipped through the cracks of aviation oversight.
The day-to-day management of the aeroplane seemed to fall between the ticket seller and the aircraft owner. And in actual fact, the Spanish authorities stated that they were unaware of this remote operation.
I don't know what you call this mess, but it's not an airline.
The investigation team generally was appalled when we actually discovered what was actually going on.
This crash focuses the world's attention on a growing safety threat. Massive holes in the regulations that govern small commercial airlines in Europe. Companies where crews are generally younger, less experienced, and expected to work long hours with limited ground support.
There's a lot of blame and fault with the crew members themselves. However, the air carrier has significant fault in this accident as well, because they allowed for the situation to arise where you had two inexperienced crew members paired together with a real lack of leadership and overall oversight from the part of the company.
In December 2012, Manx2 ceased operations and the company was liquidated. The final report lists a number of factors contributing to the crash, including fatigue, pilot error, and the malfunctioning engine.
I have a huge amount of empathy for the passengers in the back of the airplane.
We're good. I've landed in worse.
They went out and they bought tickets to fly on a scheduled airline service within Europe, and as a result, these passengers, 4 of them were killed and 4 of them were seriously injured. And that should never have actually happened.
This accident was 100% preventable.
Looking into it and discovering what was wrong is good, but it's 10 times better if that's acted on and something permanently done to make sure that this doesn't repeat itself. Don't want history repeating itself with this type of accident.